Hello there. Are you ready for another round of Rolling Realms? This is round 2, game 83, and I see already Melissa and Ian are in the comments. Thank you both for joining today, and anyone else who joins in live or in the future, thank you for hanging out for a little bit and playing Rolling Realms with me. Ian said yesterday was pretty fast. Yeah, yesterday was pretty fast. We'll see if today is fast too. We have some interesting realms today, including a very difficult one, Trickerion. We'll dive into that in a second, but I'll just start rolling. Chad is here too. Hey, Chad. We'll see how we do. I feel like I rolled a lot of 6s and 2s yesterday, and we're starting off with another 6 and a 2. So Pendulum, we're trying to kind of circle these octagons, and then when you finish crossing off all the numbers on an hourglass, then you get everything that's on all the octagons, and you keep that so that you can even gain those things again. A Feast for Odin, we're going to use shapes, and you can only use one shape once, but 6 is wild, and you can use it as much as you want to fill in the shapes on these islands. It can be fairly easy, especially if you have some higher numbers. So it's a nice way to get resources too. So we're going to go for that. And then Trickerion, we'll figure that one out as we go. That's a more difficult one. So let's use this 6, I think, as this shape, and I don't have to cross anything off, so I can just fill in. I actually get one of everything if I do this, which is great. And that's one of everything. So I know I could take a full set of activate all 3 realms this turn if I want to. The 2, I think I'll put the 2 over in Pendulum. Just cross that off for future notice. And then the 1 in Trickerion. So for Trickerion, we're going to mark one of these components that are next to the 1. It doesn't really matter which one. And I get a pumpkin, gain the benefit. And we want pairs for Trickerion, so hopefully we'll get some pairs today. Hey, Garrett, thanks for joining us as well. I know you've had a rough week. I've been thinking about you and your family. So thanks for joining us today. I hope work is okay as well. I guess we haven't marked both of these components yet, so we don't get to cross off that square. So I think that's it for turn 1, but a pretty good turn 1. Hopefully you got to use all 3 realms as well. A 5 and a 3. A 5 and a 3 for turn 2. So the 3 could be used to finish off this island, but it's a little early to do that. Or that island, actually, it might be a little bit better. But the 5 is nice to use. It's just a matter of what configuration of the 5 is the best to use over here. I kind of like this one. Not that one. Actually, that one is pretty good too. But I was thinking we could go with... Actually, that one probably is better. Yeah, we'll go with that one and fill in these spaces to get one of each resource. And I do need to cross off that coin. So here's one of each resource from A Feast for Odin. The 3 I could use to get another coin, which would be nice. Yeah, let's do that. I'll use the 3 to get a coin, and then I'll cross off one of these coins as a 1. Just circle this one in Pendulum. And then probably next go for some stars. We'll see. The tipping point for Pendulum is an interesting puzzle. Hey, Thomas. Thanks for joining us today for this live play of Rolling Realms. Going well so far, I think. So I have game night tonight. I'm going to my heavier game night tonight. What would you all play if you were going to a heavy game night tonight? What game would you want to play? What game would you bring? What game would you hope that someone else would bring? It's a game night that can often go around 3 hours, so we have time to play some of these heavier, longer games. A 6 and a 5. 6 and a 5. So I could use another. Actually, the 6 I can use for anything. So 6 is the ultimate flexibility in A Feast for Odin. In fact, I could even use one that has already been used. You can use any shape. So that might be a nice way to double up in A Feast for Odin if that is possible. Don't know if there's a great way for me to double up down here, though. I have to think twice about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a great use of like using this shape again. It would block off a bunch of spaces if I did that and leave me with some tough to cross off areas. So maybe not that. 5 and a 6. It's a little early to do the 6 here. I think I might just want to use a 1 in Pendulum or maybe a 5. The 5 I kind of like. Why don't I use the 5 in Pendulum to prepare for this one to be tipped off? Melissa says that she's going to 2 meetups this weekend, and you're going to introduce them to Vantage. That's wonderful, Melissa. Thank you so much for doing that. I hope they have a great time, and I hope you have fun playing it with the groups that you play with. Chad mentions Battlestar Galactica. Thomas mentioned Men Nefer. And Board Gamers Andenzan is joining us from Holland. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. I just watched an episode of a show called Destination X that where they traveled to Holland just in the last episode that we watched. It was a beautiful episode. Anyway, use the 5 there. Trickerion, I might create another 1 for Trickerion, and I'll use the 6 in a Feast for Odin just because of the flexibility for it. Let's go with maybe a big shape. Yeah, let's go with a big shape. I don't have this. I would love to have this little shape, but I don't have that classic Tetris shape right there. So that does make this a little difficult. I know there's an optimal configuration here, but I don't know what it is. Well, I don't want to take forever deciding this. So I will go with an easier choice and use a 3 just to go here and get a pumpkin and a coin. And then I'll use a coin as a 1 in Trickerion to finish off this and get another pumpkin. All right, turn 4. Oh, there is also Holland, Michigan. That's true. Chad made a good point there. A 5 and a 1 for turn 4. And Garrett says that he's hoping to get Andromeda's Edge back to the table, but it's a big setup and time commitment. And Garrett, you mentioned not Everdell, but Emberleaf. Is that right? That you've really been enjoying? I don't know if that's quite in the super heavy category, but that's one that I wouldn't mind playing tonight if someone brings it. 5 and a 1. I was kind of hoping for 4 here, but actually the 1 works out better. I need to make sure I get some stars when I start tipping hourglasses and pendulum. So I'll just go with the 1 there. And the 5. Should I use this other 5 shape? It really seems to block off a lot of stuff if I do that. So I don't think I should use the 5 there. I will use the 5 down here in Trickerion. Let's get some more. Let's get another coin. Why not? And that means I haven't done anything in a Feast for Odin, but if I can plan out my shapes, then I'll know what I need, where I might need to use that 1 value coin. So I don't think I'll need it here. I might need it. Where might I need that thing? There are a couple different places, but if I use like a long 4 here and then an L, yeah, I think that'll work. So I'm going to put it, right here. Actually, no, maybe I'll put it right here. I'll use the L there, that there, that there. Yeah, I'll put it right here. So that is the 1 that I'm using right now. I get a coin right back. All right. Need the rules to work out for that to happen. Emberleaf. Yeah, Ian confirmed. Garrett confirmed that Emberleaf is a lot of fun. Here's a 3 and a 1. There we go. We know we need that 3 in a Feast for Odin right here, so that works out well. I am relying on having a 6 in a Feast for Odin at some point later on. But yeah, I think that's the way to go. I think let's use that 3 right there to get a heart and another 1 for Pendulum. And now I could copy the 3 for use in Trickerion using those 3 hearts. And that is probably a good idea at this stage. I don't want to fall too far behind in Trickerion. So let's use the 3 here, cross that off, and get another coin. Oh, Jeff is popping in to say hi. Hey, Jeff. Jeff says he would bring Federation for heavy game night. Jeff loves Federation. And he's also bringing Vantage to a meetup on Saturday. I hope that goes well. If you all are in the Vantage Facebook group, I thought Andrea asked a really good question about an hour ago about how to help players in a multiplayer game that you're teaching, how to help players embrace the element of or the balance between your agency in Vantage and the discovery element, which will feel a little random to players who haven't played it yet. But you kind of have to embrace the idea, in my opinion, that you don't know what you're going to get in Vantage, but you have a lot of control over what you do and how you do it. And so that balance, I thought Andrea asked a good question. There were some interesting answers about how to balance those two things when you're teaching. I also, of course, have a teaching video about Vantage, how to teach. Anyway, 1 and 4 here. Ooh, we need that 4. That's great for Pendulum. We could go 1 more turn in Pendulum, but we are leaving some things to chance if we do that. So I think I want to use the 4 here in Pendulum. I also need the 4 over here, and I don't need the 1 over there. That's a little iffy. That actually gives me a little bit of a reason to maybe use the 1 in Pendulum, because I'd rather use the 4 elsewhere. So unfortunately, I think I will use that 1 right here and use the 4 over in a Feast for Odin, because I map this out so I can get that. That's a star and a heart. And I haven't gotten the stars for finishing those 2 islands, so I need to do that. That was the 4. Now, I haven't done anything in Trickerion, and I probably need to. Maybe get a 2. I can go for the 2, but I also know that I need a 2 later in a Feast for Odin, so I might waste the opportunity to use the 2. But I feel like I need to keep making progress on it, or I'm going to fall behind. So let's just use a 2 and get a heart. That heart might help out later. Hopefully we actually roll a pair at some point. Here we go. We're going to roll a pair right now. It's going to happen. Not a pair, but it does add up to 7 in case that's useful. We have a 6 and a 1. Melissa says Vantage is great to teach to non-gamers because they don't feel that intense pressure to be competitive. That's true. In the cooperative nature of the game, the more, the universal rule of thematic fun. I've heard from a surprisingly high number of people that they've played it with their kids who are often playing video games, and their kids are really enjoying playing Vantage with them, and at least temporarily not going back to the video games, which I have no problem with video games, but that's kind of neat to hear. Yeah, Jeff mentioned the universal rule of thematic fun too. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Garrett's comment. He says it's like playing a game of Magic with a deck your friend built. You don't know what's in the deck, but you trust that he made a great deck and that you're just there to play a fun match. I like that comparison, Garrett. 6 and a 1. So 6 could be great in Pendulum. Again, though, that 1, I think I just need to manipulate this 1 into a number that I need, i.e. a 2. 2 could give me 2 stars in Trickerion. I need a 2 over here that gives me a pumpkin back. Let's turn that 1 into a 2 and use it right here to get that pumpkin back. And then the 6, I guess I could have used the 6 there. In fact, I know that I need to use the 6 at some point in Feast for Odin. That might have been the chance to do it. Already regretting it, but that's okay. I will use the 6 over here in Pendulum to get 2 stars and a heart and a coin. So I have 3 hearts now. I could copy that 6 and use it in Feast for Odin, but I think I'm just going to hope that I roll a 6 in the final couple rolls, because I know I need a 6 here. I need a 5. I need a 2, 4, and a 3. Pretty good diversity of numbers. I just don't need 1s. No more 1s. A pair of 5s. That's pretty cool. So a pair of 5s I could have marked both components with the 5s in Trickerion, but I already marked one of them, unfortunately. So we don't get to use the pair benefit of Trickerion. I also don't need a 5. I need a 4 here in Pendulum, and I need a 6 in a Feast for Odin. This is going to get a little messy, but let's see. Should I use it? I think I need to use all the 5s. So there's 1. Here's a heart to get that 5. This 5. Look at this. I've done the worst job in Trickerion of linking these tricks. That's not what you want to do, but it's what's happening. So then I can use another 5 and manipulate it into a 4. So I can cross this one off and get 2 more stars and a heart and a coin. And then I will use, I haven't copied yet. So I'll copy a 5 and use 2 more pumpkins so that it is now a 6. So I can use a number or a shape that I've already used in a Feast for Odin, get that final shape right there and finish off that island. So I don't have to worry about that on the final turn. I've used all my pumpkins, though, so I'm not going to be doing any realm duplication in this game, unfortunately. Let's see. Marty says, here, I'll do my final roll, then I see some questions here. Final roll is a 6 and a 4. Ooh, not a 3. I really needed exactly a 3 or a 2. Okay, that's it. Marty says, do you have a link or a site of some sort that will answer any basic questions for the original Rolling Realms cards? Marty, I'm always happy to answer questions about them. There's an FAQ on our website. You can ask on the Rolling Realms Facebook group or on Board Game Geek. I would say the first resource to go to is on our website. There's a link to our Dropbox. And on Dropbox, you can find a compendium of all realms in Rolling Realms, including like more details about each realm than what I've included on the cards. That compendium is also found in Rolling Realms Redux, but you can find a digital version online, and I bet your answers are going to be questions are going to be answered there. Chad also says that his wife, who isn't a big gamer, sat with him last night while he played Vantage. I let her make all the choices on what she wanted to see and do on the location card. She had a lot of fun. Well, that's cool. So you kind of played 2 players playing a solo game of Vantage. That's really cool. All right, let's go back to this roll, a 6 and a 4. You know, actually, I have 3 coins, so I can get the 3 in Pendulum. I can also make that into a 2, though, for Trickerion, unfortunately. Yeah, and Feast Road, I don't have to worry about. Is there any way to get that 3 and get that 2, both of which are worth 2 stars? Unfortunately, I don't think so because I don't have the pumpkins. I need the pumpkins to make that work. Yeah, it's too many pumpkins. So I think I will, because I can use these other numbers meaningfully in Trickerion, at least a little bit, I'm going to create a 3 and use it in Pendulum. That gives me a heart. It gives me another coin. Actually, if I can get one more coin now, but I still don't have the pumpkins. That's the thing. Finish that off. And now I still have a 6 and a 4 unused for Trickerion. So I could have just saved the 6 and used it in Feast for Odin, I think. So 6 or 4. So I'm so close here because either one of these gives me... Actually, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because say I do this, say I do that, and I get, no, I don't get to do that. I'm sorry. Ignore that. Say I fill in this and get a pumpkin with that 4. The 6 is an unused die, so I get to make that 6 whatever I want. And so that 6 becomes another pumpkin, but that still isn't enough to have a 3rd pumpkin, which is what I need in Trickerion to finish that off. So unfortunately, I am not getting any stars from Trickerion. Yeah, nothing. Just a shutout there. Hopefully you all did better than I did in Trickerion. Oh, Ian, I'm sorry. I should have pointed this out. Ian has a great point. On Ian's YouTube channel, which is where there's a Wills, there's a play. He has video tutorials for every realm. So you can look it up there and even ask questions in the comments there. Ian knows the realms really well. Well, I hope you all did better in Trickerion than I did today, but I still had fun. Thank you for hanging out and for talking about heavy games that you want to play. My final score is 12.7. Garrett, I hope your week gets better. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday evening and Friday. And thanks to those of you who are sharing Vantage with others in your life or complete strangers at these meetups. I really do appreciate that. Take care. I will see you tomorrow for round 3. Bye.